Story time about how all these girls think I'm a homewrecker. The thing is, a lot of times I don't even know their boyfriend, so it's super confusing. To be honest, I have been put into some really weird situations. This was like 4 years ago, but this guy in 8th grade told me that he didn't have a girlfriend and that he wanted to date me soon. I had liked him for a while, so I was like, okay, yeah, let's talk. He did have a girlfriend. They'd been on and off since 6th grade, but he had told me that they had broken up 3 weeks prior, which was not true. She came to me in the bathroom and tried to confront me or whatever. So after school, I screenshotted our messages and sent them to her, of him literally telling me that he did not have a girlfriend. She still didn't believe me after I screenshot and sent them to her. Like for a part
story time about how I almost died when I was 4 years old. So my mom was at work and my dad and I were at home, and my dad was watching TV while I was trying to do headstands. I don't know, guys, I thought I was an acrobat at the time. So anyways, I had a penny in my mouth. I know, it's super dirty, don't come at me, I was 4, I didn't know. And my dad didn't know. And every time that I would do these headstands, I would roll over onto my back. Well, I rolled over and I started choking. And my dad looks over and I'm laying on the floor literally like freaking dying. He's freaking the hell out. So he calls 911 and I got rushed to the hospital in an ambulance. And the penny was sticking straight up at the time, so nobody was really worried about getting it out right then and there. And my throat was like holding that penny in place, so no, my dad couldn't do the Heimlich or whatever the heck it's called. Well, the penny flipped. And I stopped breathing and everybody was freaking out and they had to hurry up and get it out before I died.
This is why you should never leave the table when you're on a blind date. One of my best friends and I worked at the same restaurant. When I came in later that day for my shift, she told me a crazy story. She said that her first table were this guy and this girl, and she could tell they were on a first date. The girl was nervous, so she ordered a glass of wine. As far as she knew, the date seemed to be going well, and the girl got up to go to the bathroom. Right when my friend was about to come over and bring the silverware, she saw him put something in her wine. My friend, obviously terrified and freaking out, let our manager know, who then let the police know, and ran into the bathroom to tell her what was going on. The girl ended up staying in the bathroom until the police came, arrested him, and escorted him out of the building. It was noon on a Tuesday. You don't think you're going to be drugged at noon?
This is why you should always trust your gut. In the 1970s, a young couple decided to go for a late-night hike in the woods. A couple minutes into their walk, and the man remembers thinking something's not right. He tells his girlfriend, but they just decide to ignore it and keep going, until he steps on something that felt really soft, like it was alive. Before he has a chance to see what he stepped on, they hear all this rustling in the bushes next to them, and they bolt. Years later, that couple turns on the TV, and a death row inmate who's about to be executed is being interviewed. And they ask him, was there ever a time that you were almost caught red-handed? He responded, yes, one time. I was in the woods, and a couple walked through, and the man actually stepped on the body of a girl I had just killed. I was hiding in the bushes just a few feet away. They didn't see me. That couple had run into one of the worst serial killers of all time, Ted Bundy.
Story time of how I found out that I was dating my own brother. Yes, biological brother, same mom, same dad. So a little background information, my mom passed away when I was 2, my dad is currently in jail, and I live with my grandma. So at the time, I was 14, about to be 15, he was 17, about to be 18. So how this all started is one day I was at the baseball game with my friends, and he happened to be there. I was fangirling over this boy. Like, I saw him, and I was like, I'm going to marry him one day. I was feeling a little bold, so I went over and got his snap. And then I figured out that he had the same last name as me, and I was like, dude, that is dope. My exact words were, now I don't have to change my last name when we get married. So we hung out the rest of the baseball game, and I was starting to fall in love with this kid. Like, his smile, his laugh, I talked about him to my friends the rest of the night, and me and him started snapping for a while. So we started to hang out a lot. We may have hooked up a couple times, but I had to keep this all secret from my grandma because she forbid I dated somebody. So fast forward a couple weeks, we start dating. Months and months and months go by. Our 9 months come, and I finally tell my grandma. And this is where it gets bad. I'm running out of time, like, for part 2. Part 2 of how I found out that I was dating my own brother. Continuing on with the story, me and his 9 months were coming up. Also, he was adopted and his foster family absolutely adored me, so they were okay with me keeping it a secret from my grandma. They were the ones to help me tell her. So not only were our 9 months coming up, but his birthday was the next day. And he told me the only thing that he wanted for his birthday was for my part of the family to know that we were together. So one day I sat down at the table and I was like, hey, I think it's about time that I tell you. And then I told her everything and she asked for a picture. I showed her a picture and she was like, oh, he's cute. How old is he? At first she was okay with everything, and the age difference she was kind of iffy about, but then she accepted it. Then she asked his name. I told her his name, she said last name, gave her the last name, and she flipped out. She took my phone, didn't give me an explanation, and told me that if I ever spoke to him again, I would never be allowed out of the house. Finally, after she calmed down, she came to tell me that he was my brother. She asked if we had did anything, and I of course said no, but yes, we did. I'm running out of time, like, for part 3.
Reasons on why people in my high school used to think I was a hoe, part 2. So I go to my next class and I get a DM notification from some girl. It was a paragraph. And basically it says something along the lines of, if I ever find out that you're anywhere near my man one more time, I swear to God, I'm gonna come back to that school and beat your ass right when you get out. And I was like, bro, what? So I said to her, who are you talking about? And she said the kid's name. And I was like, I didn't know that he had a girlfriend. He never told me he had a girlfriend. And she was like, yeah, okay, everybody knows that we're dating. We've been dating for 2 years, blah, blah, blah. And the kid was like 2 years older than me, so I'm pretty sure that that girl went to my school and then like transferred or something. Which means that all those girls used to be friends with her, so when they saw me kiss him in the hallway, they ran straight to her and told her. And after that, everybody looked at me like the girl that kisses other girls' boyfriends. And that's why I think those popular girls started to dislike me. And my next reason is crazier than this one, so stay tuned.
This is part 3 of reasons why people thought I was a hoe in high school. So freshman year, I was best friends with this girl. I hung out with her every single day, and honestly, like, she made my entire high school experience. Like, my freshman year was the best year of my life. Friendship-wise. Drama-wise, not so much. So she was friends with this girl that didn't like me for no reason. I had no idea who she was. I never spoke to her and never had any conversation with her or any of her friends. And the first time I ever went to my gyno was freshman year. So I had told my friend about it, and I was like, yeah, like, I went. It was so weird, blah, blah. And my friend was talking about going as well. And I'm assuming that she wasn't talking bad about me or anything, but she told her friend that I had went to the gynecologist for the first time. And legitimately, the next day, after I told my friend this, I'm walking through the hallway and everybody starts looking at me crazy. Like, giving me dirty looks, whispering about me when I was walking by, and I was like, what the hell? Like for part 2, but bro, these extensions are so fire. They're VP fashion. Amazing.
Trigger warning, this is my paranormal activity experience. So when I was 14, I was friends with this girl, and she was telling me about how her older sister told her about this spot where she wanted to take us. It was a bridge in the woods at a dead end in the middle of nowhere. She said that years ago, a little boy fell over the bridge and died. And that supposedly you throw coins into the lake and close your windows, and then a few seconds later, the coins will fall back on top of your car. I was so scared to go. I'm like, I don't fuck with any of that shit. I don't like paranormal stuff like that. But I was already in the car with my friend and her older sister, and I was like, you know what? Fine. Fuck it, fine. I'm just gonna cry, but whatever. So we end up driving, going to the bridge, and it was me, my friend's older sister, and my friend's older sister's boyfriend. And just so you guys know, this shit gets crazy. There's gonna be another part to this. So her sister and her sister's boyfriend throw the coin.
I was ringing up a dad and son, and the first thing I noticed about them is they were both wearing t-shirts with fish on them, so I knew they were probably used to catching shit, and I was definitely not about to let them catch an attitude. So the dad stopped me as I was ringing things up, and he said, whoa, 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 that's supposed to be on sale, and I was like, oh, okay, just let me rescan it. And so I rescanned it, and the price was just like my weight. It just wasn't getting any lower. So I looked at him and
Storytime Tinder edition. Okay, the story blew up on Twitter like a while ago, but I'm just gonna retell it because it's very informational. So there was this guy and this girl, and they met through Tinder, and then they met up and they went on this date. And they were out at dinner, and then she starts not feeling so well, and then she says, I really need to go home, and he says, yeah, I'll drive you home. And she says, okay, so then they get to her house, and then she starts feeling better. they go inside, they have their coffee, and then she doesn't feel well again. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry, I don't feel well again. I think you really need to leave. And he's like, okay. And he leaves. And then she goes to bed, and in the middle of the night, she wakes up, and she hears this noise down in her kitchen. And so she locks her door, and she calls the cops. And the 911 operator is just on the other line saying, you need to stay on the line. The cops get there. And then the cops get there, and they're like, the door is locked. Like, we don't think anyone's inside. And she's like, I promise you someone's inside my house. I can hear them. She says, you have my permission to break down the door. So she's still up in her room, and then she hears the cops break down the door. And then she hears some wrestling and some fighting.
I made my teacher cry. Story time. When I was in 2nd grade, I had this teacher and she was the devil, and we're gonna name her Miss Jackson. And the reason I call her a devil is because she would say really mean things to me to my face. She would be like, Ty, stop talking like that, you sound like a little girl. Or, your favorite color can't be pink, you have to choose one of the boy colors. And since I was so young, I didn't understand how serious these things were, and I didn't know I can get her in trouble. And I would go home sad like every single day. Eventually my mom noticed and she asked me what was wrong. So I told her some of the things that Miss Jackson would say to me, and my mom was mad. And my mom was like, the next time she says something to you, say something rude back, and if you get in trouble, I'll handle her from there. So I was like, okay.
Hope you guys liked this video and found it helpful. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel. It does help support us, and let's know what videos you guys want to see.